You've lived in both LA and Florida. How do you see the mindset difference in approach to the industry?
For myself or for others?
For others, maybe? Like, do you
Yeah.
see an urgency in other parts of the US? You've also been to Georgia and places.
You know, I would say LA is probably the most relaxed because people, it's funny when I would travel and visit here and I would say, I put on my story of Instagram or whatever, I would say, hey, I'm in town for a week, would love to see you guys, whoever wants to take a meeting. Boom, 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 boom. Meeting, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, twice on Thursday, 3 meetings on Friday, right? I move here. Hey, would love to see you. 6 months go by, It's one of those things, I think being in LA, I don't know, people think that just being here, you're gonna make it and then there's not much to do, but I don't know. At the same time, I don't know if you can classify it by region because I know hustlers out here too. And I'm a hustler and now I'm out here. So, it's not, I don't think you can classify it by region. There's not much of an industry in Florida. A lot of people in Florida, there's a couple, but once they get to a certain place, like I feel like I've gotten to a certain place, right? You become a big fish in a small pond and then you want to, continue to grow and see and meet people that are doing bigger and better stuff. And they eventually relocate to Atlanta, Texas, California, even the Carolinas, Nevada, all these hot spots. But yeah, Florida is, I don't know. I think there is something to be said about a small town. When I first left, I had this burning desire to leave Florida. I went to LA, and then when I came back, I was even more on fire because I had left this big city with all this opportunity and I was in this small town with nothing. And so then I had this burning desire, which is when I met my partner, my producing partner, Jake. And we just cranked it every day for 4 years, essentially. So, I think small towns, there's, you can find a couple people, not much of an industry outside of that. It's kind of a long-winded answer, but.
No, I love it. Do you like that energy of like, I need to make something happen and I want to make it happen soon?
Yeah, I think like the classic phrase, iron sharpens iron. I think it's important to have that because if you don't have an idea to bounce off of someone, if it's a kind of like an echo chamber just to yourself, it can easily just, people get into procrastination that way because they don't have anyone else to bring them up and to elevate each other. But I think there's a very good energy to that as long as it doesn't consume you, because I've been consumed by that feeling and by that grind kind of, headspace to where it's negatively impacted my mental health, my relationships and just not seeing value in people and just wanting to, fully soak it, solely focus on the grind. And so I think it's good to a certain extent. I think everything in its proper place, having a good balance of it is good, and which is what I've been getting into in the last, I'd say, year and a half, is finding, just kind of finding the waves that, come up and come down and resting and being okay, just hanging out, and then, having time where it's, 12-hour days.
It sounds like you like to kind of have that drive. I mean, do you feel good when you wake up with a purpose for a project?
Yeah, so that's the tough thing about acting, is that there's not always that purpose because you don't always have a gig. Now, you could be in acting classes, you could be, reading plays, you could be doing all these things as an actor, right? But that's why I got into writing and producing, so I could wake up every day and have something to drive me and have a story to tell, something to say. That's I think that really helped me, was writing. But
you co-wrote something that was military based. We're going to get into that in a little bit.
Mind Games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So originally there was so I had made the short film Prom Night with Jake. COVID had just hit, and we were watching a movie he had done prior, back in 2017, about a guy locked in his house during a pandemic, and that was called Terror Talk. And so I said, man, because he shot it in one house, I said, man, I want to make a feature film. He's like, you're not ready to make a feature film. And I said, I'm ready to make a feature film. He's like, all right, well, let's watch this. So we watched his movie on Amazon, and he said, I have a sequel to this. And it was written by a guy named Bruce. And so I read over the script and I said, oh, okay, yeah, we could do this. And I was like, but what if we do this and change this? And so I pretty much came on and kind of rewrote a lot of things. And then we raised a few $1,000 from one guy here, one guy there, I think at 15, 20 grand. And yeah, made the movie during COVID in 4 or 5 locations. Flew out a few actors and did all the work ourselves. You know, Jake was the DP and director. I pretty much helped him gaff everything, and we did wardrobe, and his brother ran sound. And that was my first feature I ever produced for, yeah, about 20 grand. And yeah, and then we edited the film together and did everything all the way through the end, which was a huge learning experience.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.